Happy Wednesday, folks, and welcome to Ask Evelyn Live, where we answer your questions about recycling, compost, garbage, and other trashy topics. This is episode 41, Snack Attack, people, and the packaging aftermath. I'm your host, Becca Fong, and I am the recycling coordinator for Seattle Public Utilities for residential customers, those of you at home who get all of the different guides that tell you how to sort your waste. Those come from me. And I'll be... Let me finish chewing my snack. There's some snack aftermath right there. One quick reminder as he gets logged on is that this show runs on your questions, and we love to hear from you. Every week we answer one of your questions that come to us through either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or through our askevelyn@seattle.gov email. So keep them coming, folks. 41 episodes in. We love hearing from you. All right. So we're joined by my co-host. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, pass it over to me. I'll take it. I'm Pat Kaufman. I'm the Commercial Recycling and Composting Program Manager for Seattle Public Utilities, helping businesses recycle and compost. Happy to be here. Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Very excited.
I know. And, two things that, well, actually probably three things that we like. I know you're a huge sports fan. We love snacks. So we're going to be talking about snacks today. And then also what to do with all of that packaging, right? We're here to help people kind of enjoy your awesome day, enjoying the Super Bowl, enjoying your snacks, and be able to do what you need to do responsibly to get rid of that waste at the end. So
that's right. Very timely.
All right. So very timely. All right.
Our question comes into the Ask Evelyn inbox. That's askevelyn@seattle.gov. Hi, Evelyn. I'm having a small Super Bowl party with my pod, but my snack game is going to be epic. I'm totally going overboard, but I miss cooking for parties. I'll be making chicken wings, nachos, onion rings. Pretty cool. A veggie tray, ordering pizzas. It's a lot for 5 people, but what I can say, I love snacks, and the Seahawks won't be playing, so I want to focus on recycling and composting instead. So that's from Cindy. So thanks,
Awesome.
Cindy, for your note. And Becca, you ready to fire through those things? Quick answers.
Absolutely.
Ready? Go.
Absolutely. So really quick answer, Cindy. So with your chicken wings and your onion rings, one, I want to know where you're at because I will stand outside. But for when you're done with those, when you're done eating those, absolutely you can put those in the compost. The containers, depending on what those are, they can either go in the recycling or the compost as well. And we'll get into some of those details. Nachos. You saw at the top, those come in a bag if you're making your nachos at home. This bag is going to go into the garbage. Right. You got pizza, your pizza box. Once you're done eating as much pizza as possible, that greasy box is going to go straight into your compost. And then veggie trays, those are usually kind of a rigid plastic, obviously bigger than this, but a similar material that once it's clean and empty and dry can go into your recycling. Right. So that's kind of a rapid fire run through, Cindy, but Pat, now it's time to get into the details.
Just dive in and grab one of those items up top. So pizza boxes, most of the pizza boxes people are going to have over the weekend are probably going to be home delivery. So that's the classic cardboard pizza box.
Totally.
But also some people might want to do the at-home baked pizza box. So obviously these are all, frozen food container boxes, all these. They do have a little bit of a high shine to them, but they're totally recyclable. It's a good paperboard product. The paper industry likes it. They'll take it. So flatten it and make sure it's clean. It doesn't have any food on it, which it shouldn't. But anyway, those are all good. Now on the pizza box, of course, that can go in your compost bin. It's probably going to have cheese on it, and then some of this, the grease or the oil from the pizza might be on there. So that'll go in the compost. Moving on to other containers like the nachos. So for us, we usually do ground beef or ground turkey or something, and so sometimes we'll get a container like this. This is a rigid plastic container that meat is coming in nowadays. A lot of times different meats are coming in rigid plastic instead of the classic styrofoam type thing. Right. So those rigid plastic containers, you just rinse them out clean and they're totally fine in the recycling. They're just like the to-go containers that you were showing. Other rigid plastic, like your sour creams or...
Gotta have that.
Absolutely.
Have that for nachos.
You might buy a dip. You might have several dips in containers or, some guacamole or something like that. So all those containers, those classic plastic containers that your cottage cheese and sour cream come in, those are all fully recyclable if they're clean. Lids as well, as long as they're over 3 inches. Yeah.
Totally. So I think I wanted to talk a little bit about chicken wings and onion rings because that just speaks to like my heart and my stomach. And Cindy, if you are one who is going to be making those at home, I think, it takes a lot of oil to make those super crispy. I just wanted to remind you that you can let that cool. You can pour it into like a clear milk jug container, put the cap on it, set it out with your recycling cart with your address on it, and we will pick that up and recycle it for free, which is awesome. So that's always something to remember, because if you're making wings and rings, you're probably going to have a lot of oil. And then additionally, packaging, if you do order those out, I know those are a lot. I have made both of those maybe twice in my life, and that's a lot of work. And your local businesses would love for you to order wings and rings.
Good point. Good point.
Often those will come in kind of a paper container a lot of times.
Yeah.
And those can be recycled. I know with wings, as a wings person, they often come lined with foil, right?
Right.
Sometimes the wings can come lined with foil. I wanted to bring a piece because we get a lot of questions about this, is how clean does it have to be? It needs to be pretty clean, right? That residue should be off of it. It should be this clean. This is a piece of foil that I have wiped off that is suitable. I've let it dry. It's suitable for recycling.
It can have like the little discoloring residue, but not like accumulations of leftover material. You know, like we don't want a bunch of sauce in the crevices and cracks. So you need to give it a good rinse. You can push a washcloth over it and it'll just smear all that stuff off. But if it's got like the reddish, you know, rust colored barbecue, like patina on there, that's okay. You know, we're okay with that. It's just the actual accumulation of stuff we're not interested in. And then you can just fold it up, kind of like crumple it up a little bit. And we don't want the little tiny pieces either. We're not talking about, you know, Wrigley's gum wrapper size here. We don't want that foil. That's actually not worth collecting anyway. But the point is that this stuff has to be pretty good size, because it has to, you know, as you remind us, Becca, one of the criteria for recyclables is it sortable? You know, like how does it interact in the MRF, in the recycle center? And so as it's coming down the conveyor belt, the mechanism that reacts with aluminum cans, aluminum foil, will just be, it's called an eddy current. And it just sort of, it sends a little current onto the conveyor belt and it just pushes it away. It just like, it's a resistance, and it just jumps away from the current. And so it usually automatically gets pulled off the conveyor belt down a different line. And there'll be a quality control person checking to make sure it's just aluminum going that way. But if it's totally flat, like completely perfectly flat, it might get like caught up in the paper and cardboard a little too easily. So it's good to have a little three-dimensional kind of, you know, reality. I don't know.
Absolutely. And I think, Cindy, we threw a lot of information at you. Of course, you can always check it out on the Where Does It Go tool. That's very up to date. We're always making adjustments. Part of it is feedback from you guys and the questions that you send us. And I think a quick review is things need to be empty, clean, and dry to go in your recycling. They need to be bigger than 3 inches. So that's, you know, this gives a little bit of 3 dimension. We don't want you to like smash it into a tiny little ball where it's going to fall through the machinery for sortation. So really good question.
It's a lot of information for Cindy. It's a lot, but she's having a huge spread. I mean, she, you know, and she wrote us, so we got to give her all the information back.
Absolutely.
All right, so leftovers, right? We're going to talk about tips a little bit.
So our weekly waste tip, you know, Cindy, you really inspired us thinking about, like, you got your pod family over, you're going to get your snack game on. That is a lot of food. Like, I mean, Super Bowl lasts a while and you can eat a lot of it, but I'm thinking leftovers, right? Like, that's probably another way to really share the love with your pod family, is to send them home with some leftovers. And so there are some kind of good tips, right, that we wanted to throw at you that might be super helpful when you're packaging up leftovers, or say you wanted to share some of those rings and wings with some very lucky neighbors of yours. Here's a couple of ways to do it. My tip that I do is I save these to-go soup containers. You know, these are nice and rigid. You can actually put them through the dishwasher if you would like to. They're sturdy enough for that. What's great, you can see what's in there. You know, you could put like, you know, you could probably put like a half dozen wings in that baby. And then the best thing about using these is that it's kind of a one-way delivery, you know, for health and safety, to drop it off with your neighbors if you want to.
It's not a casserole dish. There's no return necessary. It's not one of your like matching bowl sets or something. So you're good to kind of one-way delivery, and they can take it from there. So that's a good idea.
Exactly. And so, Pat, you've got some good tips for
my go-to is a jar, guys. I mean, and clear is good. Clear is always good for leftovers, because then you can see into those containers in your refrigerator to see, okay, oh yeah, I need to eat that. Those are those tater tots from last night or whatever. But the idea is, you know, these are also free to all of us, right? You buy any jam or olives or all kinds of pickles, whatever. There's a lot of different jars one can use, and we just use glass jars a lot of times, but we do use the plastic containers as well sometimes for those leftovers. So yeah, those are good tips for making sure, if you have a first half entree, you're going to clear that out. Then you're going to have the halftime show, and then the second half entree. You got different waves going on here.
I
So
like the way you think about this.
Absolutely. So, you have the whole different, because you could be really happy at the start of the game and then not happy if it turns out well. You want to have a different, you want to cope through this situation that way. So those are just some thoughts. Yeah, just to have your containers prepared and ready, especially if you have people in your bubble, your pod, as you say, kind of coming over. You want to have them prepared so that when they're ready to go, you're ready to send them off with leftovers. We don't want any food waste, right?
No.
It's great to have a huge spread and multiple options, but you can't make, a whole tray of this and then only eat half of it. Let's not do that this weekend. Let's eat all the food and save the leftovers, right?
And, we've talked about this a lot, is that when you're, making a lot of food, I really do like to check in on my neighbors. Now more than ever, it's a really good time to check in. And it's really great to check in with them and be like, hey, I have some chicken wings for you. Right. So what better way to say I love you than with some deep fried food, right?
That's right. And as you mentioned, the restaurants in our community, let's take, let's add that to the menu. Pick and choose a couple items from the the food delivery folks as well. And all those containers, we've covered those in multiple shows. If you're going to recycle them, make sure they're clean. If they are labeled compostable, they can go in the compost cart with food residue on them. That's fine. So that's kind of that overarching reminder.
Absolutely. We do have a question in the comments about who's going to win. I am not going to speculate. So I will stay far out of that territory.
As a Seahawks fan, I still have a hangover from 2014. So I am more, or is it 2013? Anyway, the time we lost the Patriots. So I'm not a big Tom Brady fan. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. So.
All right. There you go. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us this week and every week and sending us your great questions and, tuning in and sending us your comments. It really does power the show and keep us going and makes us all better at this. So thank you guys so much for contributing. And with that, we'll see you next week. Enjoy your parties. Do it safe. Keep it within your pod family. And hopefully you won't make too much food waste. So with that, I'm Becca Fong, and life's simpler with a little less stuff.
And I'm Pat Kaufman. Remember to recycle right. And blue 96, green 96, set, hut!
Hut!
Did you catch that? Those are the cart sizes. All right, I'm good.
I love it.
See you later.
Bye, Pat.
Bye.